Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We covered this week's X-Men books as well as this week's Spider-Man title. Now it's on to this week's Avengers books as well as a few miscellaneous Marvel books. Starting with Avengers number 47. Where we left off, the Winter Guard, the Russian equivalent of the Avengers, had kidnapped Hulk, Jen Walters, put her through a trial, found her guilty, and she was being placed in the Red Room for her crimes. So the issue begins. Turns out the Winter Guard are in a facility in the Siberian tundra. It's guarded by Wolf Spider Spetsnaz, the Kremlin's top wet work team. And so, in armor, in outfits that can modulate what kind of stealth tech capabilities they have, Iron Man and Cap show up as the ground team taking down the soldiers. They go from having more being more snow and ice style camo to just dark. Meanwhile, Jen is trying to retain herself by reciting things from law books to keep her as herself, as opposed to falling for what's being done to her. And apparently, Vostok is largely the one largely going in on her, and it's taking Vostok a lot of work. Crimson Dynamo and Vanguard, not Red Guardian, but Vanguard, attack Cap and Iron Man. With Iron Man explaining that the facility's long-range comms as well as antique security cameras are down, adding that 1985 called and doesn't want Dimitri back. But Cap takes on Crimson Dynamo while Iron Man takes down Vanguard. It's not a long fight. The air support is their air cab team is none other than Captain Marvel, who, when Darkstar tries to take her down, however, well, Thor's presence is felt for the only time in the entire issue, as Mjolnir is dropped on Darkstar, hitting her in the face. Captain Marvel goes into the facility to find Jen, and is attacked by a Vostok armed Red Widow, who is apparently utilizing the guns she's using from Vostok fire bits and pieces of Vostok, which are able to at least briefly incapacitate Captain Marvel. Vostok is continuing to try and turn Hulk, but temperatures exceed safe working conditions, and she basically does her gamma spew on him, which doesn't take him down, leading to Hulk escaping, and wherein she punches Crimson Dynamo miles away. But Captain Marvel trusses up Red Widow and goes to rescue Hulk, who has since also shattered Vanguard's shield. Tony sees the damage she's done to both Vanguard as well as Crimson Dynamo and has to wonder if Jen knows who she's smashing, and if she thinks it's the Avengers. Medevacs are called in for the members of the Winter Guard, but they can't find Red Widow, simply her arm, as she did pull it off to escape. She reports back that it does seem that they have their Hulk, their Winter Hulk. We should get a look at her in the end on the final page. Okay, interesting. We got 3 more, I think 2 or 3 more issues before this wraps up. Let's see where things go. I know it's in the big build to Avengers number 50, but yeah. Which I might have watched also be Legacy number 750, but yeah. Interesting. I'll say this much. I've had my criticisms about how certain aspects of the current Avengers run has gone. That it does seem like they're setting up stuff for other books to handle, rather than actually telling whole stories. But the stuff with the Winter Guard, I find it interesting that we have that, and I think the part of the reason we haven't is that the Winter Guard is has been utilized so sparingly. But I'm surprised we haven't been given a huge reveal as to who the Red Widow is. I get the feeling that's something that's coming in issue 50, though. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Savage Avengers number 23, where we left off after dealing with Nightmare and Johnny Blaze. Conan went to visit Doctor Strange, only to find him with a patient named Shumagorath. So basically, the issue basically leads up to it. Kulan Gath basically did a spell which made all the warriors who fought in the City of Sickles in the first arc, which would cause them all to bend the knee to him eventually. And so Strange found a way to dispel the rot from their souls, as he put it. It shaved a few years off, shaved some time off the Sorcerer's own life to do so. However, he cannot seem to find Kulan Gath anywhere. He uses the head of one of his followers with Shumagorath, a piece of Shumagorath on top of it to send a message. And then he goes to Florida Everglades, to utilize the Nexus of All Realities, by bribing Man-Thing, the protector of said Nexus, with a cupcake. Man-Thing is pleased. But he goes to the Nexus of Reality. Strange goes to the Nexus. As he gets deeper in, there's more and more rot, and then he finds what he's looking for. Shumagorath. Shumagorath is highly damaged or highly injured, and in fact it assumes that Strange has come to gloat. But they talk, and Gorath says, "Yeah, you guys are screwed. You know, Kulan Gath's already won." But Strange tries to help Shumagorath, but it's no use. When Conan arrives, obviously worried that Strange is not the good man he has seemed to be. But Conan suggests that Strange kill Shumagorath, and Shumagorath actually kind of agrees. You know, hey, do it. You know, this is exactly what you should do. And so, Strange kills him. Wrapping the bloody blade in the crimson bands of Satorak. And they return, but the sanctum is breached by the priests of Sickles, reconstituted. And it turns out that Kulan Goth is taking control of the people of New York City. Strange and Conan step outside to discover that the city of Sickles has materialized over New York. And that is where the issue ends. Okay, so the criticism I did give it this Savage Avengers recently about how it does kind of feel like it's spinning its wheels, just kind of waiting to get to that final battle. I hope we're getting to that point. Still, I mean, the thing is, it's been a fun run. I don't want the series to end, but at the same time, the other Conan books are all set in the Hyborian Age, so yeah. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Spirits of Vengeance, Spirit Rider. So, the book focuses on two riders. First off is Demon Rider. We get a quick review of her origin. In the mid-1800s, U.S. soldiers attacked and slaughtered a tribe of Apache. Only Kashala survived. Kashala had a spirit of vengeance who heard her cry of rage. She burned her uniform to ash. Horrified by the power of her own wrath, Kashala spent years trying to rid herself of the demon. She found no cures, but magic aplenty, and eventually she became the Sorceress Supreme of her era. When Dr. Strange recruited her to a trans-dimensional team of Sorceress Supremes, she found herself stranded in the present day. Okay. Then Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze version. Sun Rider, made to deal with the devil, Spirit of Vengeance, former King of Hell, the usual. So in Manhattan, Ghost Rider is kind of on a rampage. The next morning, at a diner in Burbank, Love, Doctor Strange and Johnny show up to talk to Kashala, who's there with her friends. Apparently, karaoke night soon. The only song Kashala sings is Eye of the Tiger. But, so the trio head to Sedona, Arizona, which is where the Apaches that Kashala is a part of were murdered. And Kashala travels into Johnny's soul, basically going through the four elements: earth, air, water, fire. Earth is reliving the death of Johnny Blaze's reliving the death of his father, but they also have to rescue. But they make a point of saving the child version of himself, which represents Johnny's innocence. Then we've got air, then we got water, and the basic idea is that what caused Johnny's rampage might be linked to doesn't feel like feels rather more alien to Johnny, who as King of Hell would kind of know if a specific demon, a specific type of demon at least. But Doctor Strange kind of feels like maybe it's some more attuned, seems to be somewhat related to Kashala. But yeah, the demon, this vengeance entity is trying to stop them, of course, obviously. But she manages to. It's related to. We learn that the creature is related to the Wand of Watumb, and creature basically arrived in peace. a piece of a creature arrived in our multiverse and was spread throughout into more smaller pieces. That's what got into into Kashala. It's been reconstituting itself though, and the last piece is in Johnny. But Kashala has a vision of her mother, and she lets go of her vengeance, which, well, neutralizes the creature, which she and eats it. And so, now that her vengeance is gone, Strange sends Kashala back to her time, the 1800s. And that is where the issue ends. But we are informed at the end there will be a new series in the fall, presumably focusing on Kashala. Or, since she's back in her native time, possibly a descendant of Kashala's. Interesting book. Good setup. We'll see about that ongoing that new ongoing when and if it comes out, or when it comes out in the fall. Yeah. Anyways, on to our last book for the video. Guardians of the Galaxy Annual Numero Uno. I actually think this is like the at least second annual #1. I'm pretty sure it was the annual #1 last year. And then I know the Donny Cates run had an annual, so this is like the second or third Guardians annual #1 in a row. Anyway, we get the origin of, as it is, Infinite Destinies annual, we get the origin of Prince of Power. But the issue is starting up with Hercules at a bar ordering a Australian juice with no intoxicants when Prince of Power crashes through the roof of the establishment. He's trying to protect an orphanage, basically. But we get his Hercules asks what's going on, and the Prince of Power tells him the long way, which includes his origin. Born on the planet Muscula to Queen Regalia of Noblor. But she was born. A son was made for her, whom she named Magistar, hero of Noblor. Magistar was trained at his mother's knee. But just to be on the safe side, they created, well, a spare, and, well, hero magic doesn't always take. And so you have Prince Magistar's brother, Other One. Magistar became a grand hero of Muscula. It's He-Man. It is literally He-Man, without the Prince Adam part. But Other One was an apprentice paperclip sorter who loved jelly beans. But Magistar had an epiphany one day after fighting his nemesis, Rapscullion. And but he went to Mount Answers to consult with the wizard Anseros. And he realized, but he said, Rapscullion is stronger than I am. Why do I always beat him? And it's kind of because he's fated to. But it's explained that Muscula is a planet in balance. There's the mountain range. Mount Answers is the dividing point, which is both good and evil. But Magistar is from the good half, Rapscullion is from the evil half. So, yeah, it's perfectly balanced. Turns out, though, that Magistar butt dialed his brother who heard the entire exchange and was like, why balance? So what? But he reaches for a handful of jelly beans and pulls out a rocky purple jelly bean, and turns out it was a power gem. And he was changed by it. His jawline was strengthened, his pores cleansed, his eyesight improved, his hair bleached, intelligence lowering even further than not great, confidence increasing, clothes shredding. So he was left in his thong. Muscles expanding, six-pack abs, rippling triceps, pulsating glutes, and more. He feels himself reaching maximum body potential. And he declares himself the Prince of Power. Commits feats of strength, feats of courage, and feats of more strength. But he's explained that because basically if he tries to increase his intelligence, he'll increase his power. And he's doing some boring homework. But he found, in the library of the wizard, he found a book that was bought as a joke. Count Vincula's Mind Springs for Dummies. No smarts required. And, well, the Prince of Power stole it. But the main thing is to still the mental chatter and learn to think of nothing at all, which, well, turns out one can do. Back in the present, it turns out he can pass on an infinite wellspring of power, and he does so to Hercules, who ends up swatting the bad guy chasing other one into a wall, and well, it did kind of leave for some. And Hercules is like, "You could have done this at any time. This could have been finished in 5 seconds." But so yeah, it turns out that Prince Other One suggested to his brother that they invade the evil side. This was not, defending their land. This was an invasion. And during it, Magistar was disarmed by one of Rapscalion's henchmen. And so that's also how Other One noticed or discovered his instilling of a wellspring of powers. He used basically his brother's sword of power to, destroy the evil half of the planet, which in turn destroyed the good half too. Blackjack O'Hare found him floating in space, and but it's decided that maybe Prince of Power needs another Prince of Power to, mentor him and, make sure he doesn't accidentally hurt the people he cares about. But because he doesn't think about anything, he's not driven bad by the fact that he destroyed his homeworld. And basically, it's kind of like saying, hey, I'll help you. Though Hercules his help does begin with suggesting possibly a new name. And that is where our A story ends. Like the Black Cat Annual, because this was written by the writer of the actual story, or of the actual series, we end up getting a really solid annual. That's something we might have talked about at a later date. On to the backup story, Infinite Fury, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Chapter 6. So, where we left off, we learned that that Fury had been kidnapped by none other than Nighthawk, who wants to bring back his Earth after the events of Heroes Reborn ended. Well, Fury's stolen some tech from Project Pegasus to help track down the incarnate, the living host of the Infinity Stones, and him and Nighthawk are working together now. With, in fact, Nighthawk asking Fury to take on the mantle of Falcon. Nighthawk's old sidekick, who was killed by the Goblin. Looking in the mirror, however, Fury simply says words, intervention trigger countdown. Starts to say a handful of words. Juxtapose, Falchion, Cassowary, Stylite, and begins to, and initiates mental shutdown. And when he's over a tattoo on his chest of a woman's face and a banner underneath saying, remember. It's a. I really like it. I'm loving the Infinite Fury backups, but I wish that the story was going to end up being longer than a single issue's length, because this is so good. That's actually a really great story. I'd like to I'd love to be reading that as a as a miniseries. But anyway, and I love the fact that he has trigger phrases to get through for like to a new brainwashing or what have you. But anyway, that's going to be it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.